studio at 50 Oliver. I'm Jason Daniels, and we're broadcasting from the Easton Community Access Television Studios. With me today is Beth Ross, licensed clinical social worker and owner of Mending Fences Institute, and Chris Shea, a financial advisor with Concord Wealth Management. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, Jason.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about a pretty serious issue. Are you emotionally and financially ready for divorce? This is an workshop and lecture that'll be occurring at the Ames Free Library on August 1st over at the Queesit House. And we're going to discuss a little bit about yourselves, your background, and what we can expect at the workshop. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so thank you again for coming into the studio. Maybe we could start a little bit about yourselves and how you got into this work.
We'll let Beth go first.
Okay, so I have my own practice since 1991, started in Stoughton.
Mhm.
I've been in Canton about 7 or 8 years, and about, I think 14 or 15 years ago, someone invited me to come to a collaborative, divorce collaborative meeting, and I started working with the group that was meeting every month in Brockton. It was the group the local group of the whole Massachusetts Collaborative Law Conference. And then I got trained as a divorce coach. A few years later, I got my certificate in divorce mediation. And so my practice, significantly started doing, in addition to my regular practice of
Mhm.
seeing children, teenagers, couples who are trying to keep their marriage, elder people, and families, I started doing work with divorce. So I realized, so I became a member of the board member of the Divorce Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on the board for 10 years and started teaching the class that you have to take if you are getting divorced and you have children under 18. So I've been teaching.
Sorry. I was just curious, like, what drew you to that aspect of the law that you were working with?
I went through a very, very difficult divorce, and I saw how much my children struggled. And I decided at that moment that I really wanted to try to help other people from have a better experience for their children going through divorce. And I think as I got within the community, I really teaching the class. My passion is trying to help lessen conflict for families so that the children will do better.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very difficult divorce, and I just think that people can have some help doing a better job.
All right. And how did you meet Chris?
I met Chris at a dance at a meetup group.
Mhm.
I don't know. We just actually danced together that night. But then he gave me his business card, and we talked a little bit about what he does. And I told him what my interest of beginning my divorce coaching part of my practice that I'm starting now.
Mhm.
And he said, "Well, let's meet for coffee." So I actually called him, and we did.
All right. And so what angle are you coming from, Chris, with this?
So as a financial advisor, I am also one of the statistics on the 44% of people that get divorced in their first marriages. Going through my divorce now, and even though I'm a financial advisor and I have worked with a lot of people through the divorce process, it was still more emotionally disastrous than I even anticipated myself. Financially, I was fairly versed in what I would have to do and the documents I would have to put together, and the fact that it's just a part of the process. Tried to get mediation in my divorce, didn't really work, so now we're into the whole lawyer portion of this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's exorbitantly costly, and if there's a way to help people get through the process better than what my soon-to-be ex-wife and myself are doing right now, helping people is always something that I've been drawn to. So when I met Beth and we started talking about it and what her vision was, I said, finances are a significant portion of this because one of the things that I've always tried to communicate to people is that people think money's money,
Mm-hmm.
but money is really more than that. Money is an emotional thing because it's your dreams, your desires, your needs, your wants, your wishes. And those are all emotional things. So just because your money is in ones, zeros, commas, decimal points, emotion is a huge part of it. And in a lot of cases, what people wind up fighting about is the financial portion of it. Who gets the house? Who gets the retirement account? Who gets the car? Who gets this? Who gets that? And there's a way to help people get through that so that they're not spending as much time and energy fighting on it and having that conflict and hopefully getting to a quicker resolution on that.
All right. So, what are their misconceptions when people are coming to you? Do they come to you? Or do you sort of, how do they find you?
Well, actually, we're trying to find people who may. Okay, the whole idea behind the workshop, which we actually together discussed and we made the PowerPoint and know what we want to put in it, evolved over a little bit over time while we were thinking about what. Okay, so I know that your emotional readiness for divorce. I've worked with a lot of couples who all of a sudden decide that they want to get divorced, and that as soon as they say they want to get divorced, lots of well-meaning family and friends tell them, I have this great lawyer. And if you have a great lawyer, what that means is that person's going to try to get the most for you and fight the other person. And the way they do that is they're going to put the other person down to make you look better so they can get more for you. And it becomes an adversarial system. And so I've learned over the time period that I started working is that the best thing to do is to help people understand that that's not helpful to go in that direction, and that the choices that you make right from the beginning about how you're going to get divorced is going to affect how you choose the implications of how you're going to co-parent if you have children, and how it's going to go for you. Because if you get into a adversarial system, it's not a system that teaches you how to get along. And if you're fighting in court, that results in a lot of negative feelings. Suppose one person wins that court battle, well, then the other one's angry and wants to come back and win something else. So all it does is it pits them against each other. Like I don't even feel like divorce should be in a court system. I feel like it should be resolved with professionals who know about emotions,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't the laws. There's a division between the laws and what the court does and how you can resolve things in a calmer way. So use of collaborative law or mediation helps people learn to get along better and learns how to settle the divorce in a way that's going to feel better
Yeah.
to everyone.
I mean, it sounds like there's, at the core, there's these emotions, and it overlaps with financial, and it overlaps with legal, and you're there to sort of help people.
The goal is to guide people through the process,
Mm-hmm.
because it is a terrible process, unwinding a marriage. If you go through the court system and you start getting lawyers involved and start having everything being 100% contentious, it just makes your life miserable, it makes the other party's life miserable. Your children, if they're involved in it, feel the tension between you because there's discussions over who's going to fix part of the house that has to be potentially sold. It just becomes messy, and life's too short to try and do that messiness all the time. It doesn't help you, it doesn't help the other party. The legal fees for some of these divorces, I know people have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal fees, which if they had just thought about it at the beginning and said, okay, let's go this other route, let's not spend a whole bunch of money on lawyers, their entire wealth is eroded in this process, which doesn't help, because then it puts additional stress on how do I get that money back. It's just it's a downward spiral.
When people don't understand the emotions behind the divorce, when there's a grieving process, it's like a death. There's, anger and sadness, but the anger add the system together results in people making decisions financially and because of their emotions that have implications. So, like for instance,
Usually negative implications.
yes, and I'm just going to tell you an example I have next to me in the office is he is a CPA, so he was doing taxes, and the couple was getting divorced, and whether or not they filed together or apart, but the woman decided not to file together, even though he was going to end up paying more money because he would rather screw the ex than think about the money of the family and holding it. So people make those kind of decisions all the time. They pay a lot of money for, mediating the objects that they have, and they spend all this time on things, and then they're fighting back and forth, and what does it accomplish? Because your money that you had, your hard-earned money, gets eroded. I even know someone who probably spent, him and his ex-wife, close to $1 million on legal fees from the time that the child was an infant until the divorce. And even now, he's still paying. He has one last payment because the child is probably finished with college, but he hasn't seen him since he was 16. So it just is. It gets ugly, and people start doing things based on emotions, and you can't help everyone, because there are some people that have personality disorders or other issues, and if they stay mad and they're really trying to fight with the other person and trying to get the other person back, they're not actually really divorced. It's like negative intimacy. They're still fighting and they're still connected. So
one of the things that Beth brought up is making financial choices when your emotions are high.
Yeah.
And invariably, from the financial advisor standpoint, one of the reasons why people should have a financial advisor in general is because their money is emotion, and whenever you have emotion, you make poor decisions. When the stock market crashes, what does everybody do? They go out and sell. Well, no, that's the time where you should start to put more money into it, because it's going to go back up at some point in time if you have the time and the resources. So that ability for people to take themselves away from the emotion is something that we try and help people with. To say, look, we know that you're going to be emotional. We know that you're going to be mad. You should be emotional. Don't hold them back. But at the same time, don't make all your choices based upon those emotions that come at you. Going through my divorce at this moment, there's custody challenges. We have a silly schedule that we've worked out with our daughter to see her, because we both really want to spend as much time as possible with her. And in that, we've created this schedule, and then we redid it, and it's a mess. It's an absolute disaster. We argue about what days and times, because we're on different weeks, and we haven't resolved it, so we just fight and argue about it. And then I just step back and say, okay, because I know that we can't get along and our emotions have gotten to that point, it's now everything's communicated through the lawyers for us, which is not a good thing.
Right. So I just want to let people know again that I'm with Beth Ross and Chris Shea. They'll be presenting a workshop/lecture at the Queeson House on August 1st over in Northeastern Mass. Are you emotionally and financially ready for divorce? So I just want to let people know, if they're interested in this topic, that they should come and see you and hear a little bit more about this in depth. Probably have a chance to ask you questions one-on-one about some of these really, really sensitive issues.
And it is hard. There's no question about that. This is a hard process. We met with someone at a recent event, and their biggest concern was their spouse made a really lot of money, and they thought that they were hiding it. And I was like, no, there's a process for that. There's disclosures that you have to go through, and if the disclosures don't come back and match up, there's forensic accountants that can get involved. So if there's trepidation and you know that the marriage is just not a good thing for your personal well-being and for your kids or whomever's involved, there's people that can help you get through this.
So the idea that Chris and I had was that we would try to get people who are thinking about divorce, and through that we would talk a little bit about the options for divorce, and actually before you start spending money on lawyers, which are expensive, and just hiring the lawyers, and now you already start the process. If you file it, there's a different process, it goes more through the court, that we could help empower people who maybe one of the two didn't know much about the finances, to help empower them to be ready to get divorced by understanding more of the process beforehand. I wish when I was going through that, I was terrified. It was so scary. I wish that I had had someone who could have maybe explained some of the things before, so I would understand that for every action you do, there's a reaction, and it may end up resulting in places that you don't want to go. And if you had someone who just is kind of helping you calmly discuss different options and how that might affect you, and just empower you to know maybe what the money is before you meet with the lawyers or decide a process, you're going to be in a better place emotionally to be able to advocate for yourself and understand what's going on and maybe make different decisions.
All right. Well, this is really important issue in people's lives. Big, one of the biggest things. I'm a child of divorce myself, and remember some of it, and it wasn't fun at all. And so I just wanted to let people know again that if they want to maybe get in touch with you, is there a website or a phone number or anything they could get in touch?
Okay, so people can get in touch with me by calling my office, which is 781-821-4606. They can go on my website, www.mendingfencesinstitute.org, and I have a contact sheet through there, and people can look at, I have different options for divorce on there, set up an appointment so they can call me.
Okay.
The best way probably for me is my business phone. It's going to sound odd because I moved from California recently, but I've kept my California number.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 310-529-1946, or email, which is a mouthful and a half. So if you're probably going to have to redo this twice, but it's Chris, CHRIS.Shea, SHEA, at CWMofNewEngland.com. So yes, that's a big mouthful, but that's where you can find me as well.
All right. So Chris and Beth, good luck with your work. And again, your program is going to be at the Ames Free
Yep.
Library, Queeset House, August
Yep.
1st.
Mm-hmm.
And
At
the
7, right?
7
7.
p.m.
Yeah, usually the events there are at 7 p.m.
Okay.
And it's are you emotionally and financially ready for divorce?
Oh.
So best of luck, and I
Thank
hope
you.
people come by, check it out. Definitely, like I said, an important issue.
And if you're afraid, one of the things we've found is that people in the community that we have the event are sometimes a little trepidation about showing up and having people in the community potentially talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
Do just reach out to us individually, and we can schedule time to meet with you outside of this event.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming to the studio today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, Chris.